Hello, sir. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Uh, I know you're super busy right now. Uh, first of all, I really thank you for joining my show.
Of
Uh,
course.
you know, it's really been on my honor. And first of all, I'd like to know about your journey because when did you start your actually producing journey?
Well, first of all, I want to just say a couple things. I really appreciate you taking the time to have me here, and it's great to catch up. It's great to meet you and
Yeah, yeah.
have some time to talk. Yeah. Um, so I've been in gosh, I never when I first started, I never expected to be a producer. I was always a
Okay.
creative person. I always wanted to. Um, you know, I always enjoyed directing. That sort of thing.
Okay.
So I started
Yeah, yeah.
doing. But I was always just really good at logistics and producing um, and just getting things done, figuring things out. So it's
Yeah.
funny. I've been producing for some time now, and but Follow Her was the first film that I actually produced, which was really
Yeah.
exciting. But I've had the opportunity when I worked for a production company where I served as a vice president of production. I wound up producing all of their projects, like corporate films, video, commercials, and all of those kinds of things. So I had a great deal. I got a great deal of experience producing. I probably produced over 800 projects before I touched Follow Her.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
just like 1 day shoots, 5 day shoots, 10 day shoots. Like all of those sorts of things. But you learn a lot when you're on a lot of different projects and a lot of different environments and atmospheres, whether it be on location in cold weather, whether it's in studio, or whether it's in the summertime when you're dealing with other things. So, but yeah, I've had a
Yeah. Yeah.
great deal of experience that way.
Yeah, so you have started your career as a director. So what are the challenges did you face when you were a kid? Like, did you have any plan that you were going to the film industry as a director?
Well, it's funny. I always loved, like, when I was growing up, this was you either it was still we were still shooting film, and
Yeah,
I always loved cinema. I adored cinema. One of my first memories is my parents taking me to see the original Star Wars at a drive-in movie
yeah.
theater when I was 4 years old, and I feel
Okay.
like I just got hooked right away. And then as I got older, video cameras came out, so I
Yeah,
started playing. My parents had gotten a video camera, and I started playing around with it, and I made a film,
yeah, yeah,
and I got hooked on that, and ever since actually, when I went to school when I went to college, I did not focus on film, I was focusing on a career in architecture, and I
okay.
quickly learned when I was in school that architecture is not what I wanted to do, but I wanted to, give film a shot, so I took all of the film classes, and, uh, I I just learned about film history and execution and things like that, and I adored learning about the history of film, and
Yeah,
living in New Jersey, right outside New York City, when I graduated, I had the opportunity to go to work. I didn't have to move to New York. I didn't have to. Well, I could have moved to Los Angeles, but I chose to stay
yeah,
near home. And I said, I could either pay to go to film school and learn and further my education, or I can
yeah,
go try to learn and get paid for it, which is what I did. I became an intern. I became a production
yeah,
assistant, and I worked in all the departments, and I learned the craft of the craftspeople taught me a great deal just in terms of grip, electric, camera, sound, makeup, wardrobe, props, art department. I learned all of that, and I think
yeah,
understanding and diversifying and everything, I really enjoyed the logistical side, and I gravitated becoming a production manager. I'm sorry, a
yeah.
production coordinator first,
Okay.
because I was really good with talking to people and working out logistics and being on the phone and handling paperwork and things like that. So I naturally gravitated towards being a coordinator, being a production manager, then ultimately becoming a producer. And I think all of that experience working in all the departments really helped me, because as a
Yeah,
producer,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
in charge of all of those departments. And if they have any hiccups or any bumps in the road, you have to, I think, as a good producer, fix those problems before they can, or adjust the
yeah,
schedule before they can, because when you're on a set, when you're filming, you just can't come to a grinding halt. You always
yeah.
have to have solutions, and we always have to keep moving forward. So.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, throughout your career, who was your actually inspiration?
Throughout my career, my inspiration? Well, I tell you, I have we all have our filmmaking heroes, right? Our big
Yeah,
time heroes who've made some of the great films. One of my heroes is Akira Kurosawa, the
yeah,
great director from Japan. I mean, I loved his movies. The Seven Samurai
yeah,
is one of
absolutely.
my is just a masterpiece. John Ford, the old, the American
Yeah,
Western was the standard in filmmaking back in the day. Um, you know, Alfred Hitchcock, Charlie Chaplin. I mean, these are
yeah,
all people who, like Charlie Chaplin, was the master at what he did in the silent era. But he
yeah,
also directed, he produced, he acted, he did the
yeah,
score, he did the editing. That's a true filmmaker in front and behind the.
yeah, definitely. Yeah,
But I look, but in my career, I have to say that our director Sylvia Kaminer, who I worked on Follow Her with, is definitely an
yeah,
inspiration to me. I began working with her some time ago. We got introduced on a project where that she was producing, and she hired me. Well, I was introduced and ultimately became the unit production manager for a film
okay,
called Chosen. Chosen was a World War
yeah,
II film that was all shot in Hungary, but
okay,
they needed the open and close of the film to be shot in New York, present day, and they had
yeah,
Harvey Keitel to be that role of a grandfather telling a story to his grandson about his
yeah,
story. So Sylvia and I worked on that, and I learned a great deal from Sylvia just as a producer and as a director. I mean, she was a director of Follow Her, but she's produced like 15 films, and
yeah.
just collaborating with her and working with her, it was, we have a great working relationship. So I'd have to say she's one of my definite inspirations in my career.
Okay. So I would like to ask you that you are a director and a producer yourself. So I mean, what are the things that are the toughest like in producing? What are the things that are very much toughest work? Like it's so tough to it's really tough as a producer. What are the things?
I think one of the most challenging things is time. No matter how much time you
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
prepare for something, there is never enough time. The clock is always ticking, and something goes wrong. The caterer, their vehicle broke down, so we have to
yeah,
find a new caterer at the last minute. It's always never having enough time, I think, or using or managing your time properly because things are going to happen. It's just you know, we try to make everything as smooth as possible with because like making a film, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of people
yeah,
involved. There's a lot of vehicles involved. There's a lot of vendors like when you're hiring, camera and audio and catering
yeah,
and star vehicles and trailers, everything, if everything worked perfectly, that would be amazing. But sometimes things go sideways and you have to be prepared for
yeah, yeah, yeah,
adjusting with the with those bumps in the road, and time is always of the essence. I never want to get too casual with time. Oh, I have a lot of time for this. No, I think things need to be done right away and be
yeah,
efficient
yeah,
about it
yeah,
because it's always the clock never stops. So
yeah, yeah.
time is always the biggest challenge.
Yeah. So, like as you've mentioned about time. So you, as you know, you're a director. So at the same time, you're a producer. So, while producing something, did you have any kind of conflict in your mind that it needs some work, but I have really leisure time? You know.
It's always a struggle. It's always a struggle because the director side wants to be creative and not doesn't have
Yeah.
to worry about logistics so much and budget, where the
Yeah.
producer side, um, it wants to be efficient on budget and but also still deliver that creative. So for me,
Yeah.
it's actually a good thing. I don't struggle with it too much. I use it as a balance. The
Okay.
director side of me produces with directs with a producer mentality, and I produce with a director's mentality. I want to fight for the creative. I want to go for what the director wants and get creative on the logistics side to move things around so we can make if it makes the story and the film better, then I'm going to
Yeah.
do whatever I can as a producer to help that. And as a director, I'm also kind of similarly that if
Yeah.
I don't want to compromise creative, but if I can help with the creative
Yeah.
on the producing side to help better the film financially or schedule wise, I'm going to do that. So I think it's a good balance between the two, and just um, working you working with both mindsets.
Yeah, yeah. So whenever you were receiving something, any script or something, so like with what kind of mindset you read the script, as a director's perspective or as a producer's perspective?
I usually both, to be honest
Okay.
with you, both. And I also have studied screenwriting, so I think any good
Yeah.
producer director
Okay.
should know screenwriting and understand how things are broken out, and looking for exposition and things like that. But
Yeah,
when I
yeah,
look at it, I definitely look at it from a producer's mentality first. Like, how can I make this a reality? How can I turn these words on a page into a reality in terms of actors, locations, and props and things like
yeah.
that? And then as a director, you look at it. I also kind of split myself. It takes sometimes I don't fly through reading scripts. Like, I can't just read a
Okay.
script in no time. I like to read. I'd like to take the time to read the writer's words and understand them, because
Yeah,
I know the effort that goes into uh,
yeah,
creating a script, and I understand um, the craft of it. So I want to be respectful of that. So I don't want to fly through it, but at the same
yeah,
time, I'm reading it creatively and logistically at the same time. So to answer your question, I read it both ways, and
yeah,
I'll take my time with it. It's so funny. Like recently, I read a script someone gave to me, a producer gave to me, and I was giving feedback on it. They're like, "Oh wow, you know this script better than I do." Because I
yeah,
invest in the characters, I understand. I want to pay attention to the casting, to the logistics, and the whole
yeah,
approach to it. If I'm on board as whether as a producer, director, or both.
yeah, yeah. So actually, how actually the Follow Her film it happened?
Well, Sylvie, like I said, I had been working with our director, Sylvia Kaminer, for some time on various projects.
Yeah,
She decided to direct Follow Her. The script came to her. This was her narrative fiction debut as a
yeah,
director. So
okay,
she came to me and she said, "I'd like for you to read this script, and I want you to consider producing it." I read the script,
yeah,
and I thought I immediately sized up how I would want to handle it. And I love working with Sylvia. So I felt like this was a script that I could handle. And honestly, this was my my first film that I produced as a producer,
yeah, yeah,
as my and if I was going to do this to work with her on that at the helm as a director, that meant a great deal. It sort of gave me a little bit of a a little safety zone for me. So,
yeah,
but
yeah,
but it was all on me to lead produce the film, and I did it. And that's how it came about. It was mostly about the quality of the story, the quality of the script, and knowing that Sylvia was going to put a lot of twists on it, and bring a great fresh approach to it. And I wanted to support her as a producer.
yeah, yeah. Definitely, yeah. So, like on a very specific note, like I really want to know what are the things you actually notice in a script. What are the X factors you notice in a script?
Some of the things that I immediately pop out to me is the dialogue. I look, like, this is not something that I can handle as a producer, right? But I want to make
Yeah,
sure the dialogue is there. It's original. It's punchy. It's
yeah,
that I want to see these characters come to life, because at the end of the day, it's all about story.
yeah,
There's a lot of films out there that you love certain films because of the story, and
yeah,
that's, for me, the heart of a script is the story. It's got to have a good story,
yeah,
a good beginning, middle, and end, or be original if there is no beginning, middle, and end, and if it
yeah,
flip flops it. And I look at the story first, and then I look around, and then it grows from there. The story, the characters, the world that we're creating. That
yeah,
as a producer or a director, and build off of that. So I think story would be the number one thing that I'm looking for. And from that point, also, just from a producer's perspective, I also want to size up what it's going to take to make this film in terms of budget and in terms of
yeah,
logistics and locations. Okay, are there a lot of visual effects? Are there firearms?
yeah,
Are we going to have to do this? For safety's sake, do we do all special effects in post production versus on
yeah,
set?
yeah,
So the
yeah,
technical aspect too, I'm looking at
yeah,
as well. If it's a drama, are we doing, are we doing any driving scenes? Are we do we need a studio? Like there's all, so those things enter my mind, like breaking down the logistics, but ultimately it comes down to whether this is a good film or not, story wise, that the audience is going to want to invest in.
Yeah. So actually, recently, what I have was that there's a little conflict in Hollywood that, if you see the bigger scale studio films, like the superhero films, the
Hmm.
blockbusters, and at I've read an article about like Martin Scorsese, who was actually against the whole system of like the superhero film. So, what's your take on that?
Well, we're in an interesting time because studios are making $100+ million films,
Yeah.
and the movies I grew up watching, like the 30 and $40 million films, don't exist. It's either
Yeah.
low
Yeah.
budget or big budget. I have nothing against the Marvel films. I have nothing against, because at the end of the day, it's uh, you're a fan. You want to go to
Yeah.
the cinema and be awed. You want to enjoy the experience. But I do wish that some of those middle range films are were still being made, the 30 and $40 million films, the John Hughes films, those kinds of
Yeah.
things. I mean, I love all of those films. I mean, I've produced an independent film, so I understand. I enjoy that, and I'm
Yeah.
currently working on a new film as a line
Okay.
producer that is in that range as well. And it's again, why did I get involved with it? It's a great script, it's a great story, but at the same time, uh, not as professionals, not everyone works on those kinds of films because they're set in very specific areas,
Yeah.
and I think that, COVID actually, the pandemic really changed things with people wanting to go to the theater and
Yeah.
things being streamed home and more. So I think the studios are changing their mindset of how they approach certain
Yeah.
projects, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But we don't want just Marvel and Disney, which I have ultimate respect for them.
Yeah.
Like I said, the first film I ever went to see was Star Wars, which is now a Disney
Yeah.
entity. But
Actually.
yeah, I want to see all kinds of films, things in the middle of the
Yeah.
range, and we'll see. It's interesting where the industry is shaping up. But like I said, I have nothing against the big budget projects, but I want to
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
some of the mid range projects come back. That would be wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, like, but don't you see the same kind of reputations in terms of the all like same format, like the structure is kind of same in terms of superhero films.
Yes, I do. I think it is the same. I think that the studios are not going to spend $100 million or more without
Yeah.
a formula that works. And so we're getting very similar films, like, but again, I'm all about story. I said that, I said I'm all about
Yeah.
story. So to me, it all starts with the story. If we have all the visual effects and things like that and the story's not there, that's disappointing to me. I mean, I've watched a lot of films that are gorgeous, but the story
Yeah.
is not there.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
I want, again, I want originality. We want stories to be original. It doesn't matter what the budget is. I hate to see the same movies over and over. Like, Christopher Nolan is the exception. He
Yeah.
he is. I feel like he's sort of like the modern day Hitchcock in terms of not how he tells stories, but he's very original. The stories are very
Yeah. Yeah.
intellectual. They're not linear. It requires a great deal of thinking, but he's in his own category, right?
Yeah.
But
Definitely. Yeah.
his films are very original because he's following the formula that he sees best as a writer, director, and producer.
Yeah.
And I have the ultimate respect for him. But I would like to see more films like that that make you think. I think Follow Her is a film that makes you
Yeah.
think. It doesn't follow the norm. When you
Yeah.
expect
Yeah.
when you think you expect something, the rug is pulled out from underneath your feet, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what was attractive to me for the film, because it is unexpected. And that's a lot of the feedback that we've been getting in the press that we've been getting, is that um, with the amount of twists and turns, it keeps it very engaging. So those are the films that I like. I don't think any film should follow a formula.
Yeah.
It's I think you have a roadmap, but it needs to be original always, and not just follow a
Yeah,
single
definitely.
format.
Yeah,
Mhm.
sure. So, it's been a very long career of yours, but like, like when you see back to your childhood, so what are the difference you notice right now? As a like, it's your vision right now. Like as a kid, you got some vision. Do you really think that you have achieved that vision?
No, I think as filmmakers, we're always looking to grow. I mean, I think it's like I think the technology is constantly changing. Um,
Yeah,
we used to shoot film all the time. Now we don't shoot film. I mean, I grew up when I was early in my career. We shot film for
yeah,
commercials and corporate film, so I have the experience of, as an intern or as a production assistant, dropping the film off at Technicolor when we were done shooting, and
okay,
picking the film up at Kodak, and that stuff doesn't exist anymore. But it also took a lot longer to
yeah,
film on a film set than it does on a digital set,
yeah,
just in terms of scheduling. But I think for me personally, no, I don't think you can ever be content as a filmmaker, because there's always going to be different circumstances. When you
yeah,
shoot a film, the in terms of how things are done, but also what budget your things are done. I think there's just a constant growth. It takes a great deal of time to learn the craft in any department.
yeah,
You could be, you know, take sound. If you're a sound mixer on set, you have to deal with so much more. Um, and you have to grow as a professional, but also the tools in post production are very
yeah,
forgiving to help you. But I don't think you should rely on help. I think you should know what's available, and also always go for, giving the editor the best product to work with. Someone once
yeah,
said you make three films: the film that you prepare for, the film that you shoot, and then the film that you edit. So I think you learn as a filmmaker. I'm learning over the years what works best in my preparation to make that sort of film. And then when
yeah,
you're on set, there's other things to contend with. The days are long, hours are long, and you're tired. You're not always 100%.
yeah, yeah,
I'm sort of battling a cold right now, and I'm fighting through it because, of longer hours and things like that. But that's okay. You have to always maximize what
yeah,
you're capable of doing, and then through post. So to answer your question, I don't feel ever content about where I once saw myself. Like, you have these ideas when you're a child, like when you're young in your career. Oh, I want to direct a film. I want to do
yeah,
this.
yeah,
Then when you actually do it and understand the hours, the effort, and all of those things,
yeah,
you're like, okay, you need to learn certain things about, just even how to treat yourself in terms of getting rest, eating healthy, drinking a lot of fluids, because it's a battle of endurance throughout the whole process.
yeah, yeah.
And so I hope I answered your question, because
Definitely, definitely. Yeah,
I think that I think any good professional is always learning on tips and things like that, on how to, streamline work effort, and how to
yeah,
get, more efficient, faster, and also maximize your time. Like I said, time is always the biggest thing to battle. I think it's always learning on how to maximize your time and get an advantage of doing things um, equally fast and more efficient. And we can never stop growing. We can never
yeah,
stop.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, as Steve Jobs said, like, stay hungry, stay foolish. So,
Absolutely. I mean, you have
yeah,
to be aware of what other directors and producers are doing out there, what techniques they're doing. The industry is constantly changing. You want to be ahead of it, not behind it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
like, I know Disney's been doing a lot of stuff, like with the Mandalorian, filming on the
yeah,
volume set. Like, they're eliminating green screen. They're going through, having
yeah, yeah.
live action as their background, which is what, it's a harder effort up front, but it's better for post production. So I
That's right.
think being
Yeah,
aware of a lot of these techniques, while that's a big budget thing, if you can afford it, that's one thing. But I think it's good to be aware of these new technological advantages than
yeah,
to not be. I think visual effects and technologies is a huge part of what we're doing today. And I think,
yeah,
again, it's only going to get more complex. So we need to stay on top of it.
Yeah, yeah. So, but like as you have said, like there's been there's a lot, a very long journey. So when you were a kid, did you get the support of your parents? Like you can go to the film industry.
My parents were very supportive.
Yeah,
I have to say I wasn't told like, oh, you have to do this or that. I mean, my father had his own business, and he basically he had his own mechanic shop. He was a very hard work. He was self-made person. My father was born in Egypt, in Cairo, and came to the United States. I'm of Armenian descent. My
okay,
mother was of Armenian descent as well. Her father was born in Turkey, survived the Armenian genocide, and came to this country. So, but my father had his own business, and it could have been mine to grow into. But
yeah,
that was not something that I wanted to do. I was very creative oriented, but they never stopped me. They always encouraged me to grow in the film industry, and I think it's very supportive. Even my spouse, Jessie Claros, she's very
yeah,
supportive of me. And I think having a career in the film industry is very tough on your family and your spouses because we work long hours, odd hours, holidays,
yeah,
and it's not always ideal. All of a sudden, like for example, I'm filming during the Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday in the US,
yeah,
which they're celebrated holidays,
yeah,
but and it's not ideal for family and my spouse, but they've
yeah.
always been very supportive of that. So I've always been encouraged, and you know and that's very encouraging because this is not just a singular effort. Having a support system is very important, with the amount of time and effort that we put into our films and projects.
Yeah. So I mean, I really want to know that what is the actual, like the fun part of producing, like the real fun part of producing.
It's funny. For me, it's planning and then seeing the reality of it. Scouting a
Yeah,
location, casting an actor, helping with the script. And when that becomes a reality while it's being filmed on set, and then the
yeah,
final to see the final product
yeah, yeah,
after the edit, after the completed, you know what it took to get
yeah,
that hospital location. You know what it took to get clearance to film on that street, to build that set, the effort behind, and to
yeah,
see it on screen and how beautiful it would come out, how beautifully it was edited or directed or color corrected, and all of those factors. This is a collaborative process,
yeah,
and
yeah,
all of that. I'm a big proponent of preparation and working hard and
yeah,
preparing film so that when it comes time to filming, to me, it's all about execution, not making
yeah,
decisions.
yeah,
And I put a lot of effort into that, and to see that effort on screen is really rewarding. Is really rewarding, and even to get an audience reaction.
yeah, yeah,
Sitting in the theater, it's a it's a tricky thing. Because you want the audience to love it, but you don't know how they're going to react. And when they
yeah,
react
yeah.
well to it, it's very rewarding.
So has it ever happened that you went to the theater to just to see the reaction of the people?
Sure. Sometimes you don't expect certain scenes to have a reaction the way they do, and certain scenes that you expect when they deliver, it's really exciting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Excuse me.
yeah, sure.
So yeah, no, it has happened, and it's exhilarating and terrifying at the same time. You know.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like you never know what's gonna happen at the end.
Sure. I mean, luckily with Follower, we've been getting a lot of great reactions,
Yeah,
and it's to see the crowd show up at the film festivals and enjoy
yeah,
the film and come up after you and talk to you about the film. It's not so much about me, but it's about the effort of the entire team, of the entire cast and crew that
mm,
made them like the film, which is exciting.
yeah, yeah. So, like, do you have any plan right now? Just you are coming back again as a writer and
Mhm.
director, not just producer, but as a writer and director.
Yeah, I think that producing is sort of my safe zone, like it's
Yeah,
something that I
yeah,
do very well. But but I also want to still create. I'm at
yeah,
heart a creative, a director, and a writer. So yes, I'm currently working on crafting a project. I don't
yeah,
know. It's a sort of a film focusing on well-being, mental well-being. I think
yeah,
that
yeah,
our well-being is being challenged, from the pandemic on, and the project I'm working on is sort of a dramatic, psychological, dramatic sort of piece, which I'm excited um, about writing and working on, and so yeah, I'm getting back into the writer's chair and the director's chair, and while I'm
yeah.
looking for other projects, I'm currently line producing a new project that I don't know if I can talk too much about, but
Okay,
it's a filming it's a filming shot in New Jersey, with some exciting talent attached to it, and it's a fantastic script. So yes, I'm producing and directing and writing at the same time, but I'm really excited about getting back and crafting my own projects,
great.
to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, yeah. So like you were handling so many things. And do you get frustrated when things are not going right way?
It is frustrating. I mean, we all are a little bit of perfectionists, and we want
Yeah,
things to be on schedule, and it's tough to. But I've also learned that patience is a key ingredient to what we do.
yeah,
You have to be patient. Things are slow moving sometimes, but you have to be, I would say, diligent in keeping things moving forward. Um,
yeah,
being casual and laid back sometimes is not always the best answer. We have to be, you know, uh,
yeah,
relentless in moving our projects forward, and not complacent about, that's the thing. When it's somebody else's project, we're always moving forward. But when it comes to your project, we have
yeah,
to be, we have to be relentless in moving those projects forward, because no one's going to move your project forward if it's not you driving it forward. So I think that's something that I've learned over the years about learning to
yeah,
be patient, but also being relentless at the same time.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So like as you, has like one question I really want to ask you, that have you ever been in India?
I have not. I have
Okay,
not, but Jessie has been there many times. She's been there and had to work there several times. So I have secondhand experience, but no, I have not
okay,
been there firsthand.
okay. So definitely welcome to India whenever you are planning to visit. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
definitely let me know. I'll pick you up.
That's very sweet of you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah,
I know it's a very spiritual country, and
yeah,
I've been very fortunate, for I also produce a travel show, Samantha
yeah,
Brown's Places to Love, which I also occasionally direct when called upon, and it's another project I work on with Sylvia. But I've
yeah,
been very fortunate to travel the world for the last 5 or 6 years.
yeah,
Well, the pandemic slowed our international travel down, but I've got to see a lot of countries that I never thought I'd get to see. But like China and Hong Kong and
yeah,
Korea, New Zealand, and but we have yet to make it to India. So, but I
yeah.
appreciate the invitation.
Definitely, definitely. Like the last thing I want to ask, that do you have any tips about the younger people who really want to get into the industry as a producer?
I think that the most important thing is to get get on the set, get in a production office, be
Yeah,
around production people. I think it's important also to not only be around production people, but to be on the set and just learn all the departments. If you're an intern or you're a production assistant, learn the sound. Go work with a sound person. Go work grip electric. Carry that equipment. Carry that that the sandbags and the C stands, and set a light and learn how
yeah,
that's done. Because when you physically do it, when your hands are dirty, getting dirty, doing those things, you understand it better.
yeah,
You understand what it's like, to what the makeup and hair and wardrobe and the art department goes through, but also be in the production department. you know I didn't have any contacts when I first started. I
yeah,
wasn't born in the business, and when I started, there was no internet, so I couldn't
yeah,
Google or search for production companies. I had to go to New York City and
yeah,
find. I needed to knock on doors and mail resumes, so I did whatever I could to meet people. I think it's important to meet people, network, whatever. There's so many resources. I think even in the beginning, if you volunteer for work and you get a
yeah,
credit, but more important than the credit is meeting production managers and coordinators and producers, because if you're good, and you may know nothing, but if you're good,
yeah,
they'll remember you and say, um, that person was really great. I know they didn't have a lot of experience, but I'm going to call them back. And I
Yeah,
think it's just getting involved. And if you're in a city is that doesn't have a lot of production, I would still get involved with meeting those people, even if it's a videographer. I mean, you just want to be near production, if especially if you want to have a career in it, and you have to, be, a little fearless when it comes down to it. I mean, I'm a very quiet, I don't want to say I'm not a very much an extrovert, but I've learned to have to, you have to network and meet people. It's
yeah, yeah,
this being in the film industry calls upon a lot of different skill sets, and whether you have them or not, you have to learn to use them. So,
yeah, definitely. So I want to do a little rapid fire session,
okay.
if you allow. So, yeah. So first thing, describe these people in one word. Steven Spielberg.
Entertaining.
Okay. Martin Scorsese.
The Irishman.
Okay. Alfred Hitchcock.
Terror.
Okay. Andrei Tarkovsky.
Mystery.
Okay. So the choose between two things. The thing is, awards or rewards.
Say that again. Awards or rewards?
Yeah.
I would say rewards.
Okay. Uh, on ground promotion or virtual promotion.
On ground promotion.
Okay. Yeah, that's all. Thank you. Thank you so much.
No, that's great. It's really funny. It's hard to answer those questions because I have a lot of feelings about that. The
Yeah.
one thing I want to say is about awards and rewards.
Yeah.
I've won many awards in my career. I never set
Yeah,
out to
that's why.
win.
That's why
I
I
never,
asked this.
I never set out to win awards. I think when the industry recognizes you, it's the ultimate compliment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but I feel like as artists we have to keep, the rewards are is the feedback in the awards. It's just I think the rewards are making a quality product.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, that's what the focus is on. I never set out to win awards, but I will say that getting awards by your industry, it's the most humbling experience. It means
Yeah.
it means a couple things to me. I'm very gracious about it, but it also
Yeah.
means I
Yeah.
have to work that much harder to now, you know, um, to deliver beyond what has been delivered to, you know, so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have to raise the bar. So they're raising the bar on us. We have to deliver
Definitely.
beyond the
Definitely.
bar. So, and I think
Yeah.
that's what makes good filmmakers: constantly challenging yourself,
Actually. Yeah.
never being satisfied with what's good enough. We have to keep pushing because on any good film set, any good or any TV set, every
Yeah.
department constantly pushes the boundaries, and that's the result of that is a quality product.
Yeah. 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 And you know what? I'm also a filmmaker and writer
Of course,
myself. Yeah, so I made some short films and independently. So I really wanna show you whenever
sure.
if you yeah. So definitely I will share you the links of all my short films and series.
Absolutely. I would love to see them. I think also another note for young people out there is that there's making any sort of film, whether it's a short film, an independent film, or a major film, is an
Yeah,
accomplishment. As filmmakers, we need to keep learning our craft. And the only way to
yeah,
learn our craft is by, you know, writing, directing, producing. If it's a short film, it doesn't matter. It's a film. You're going to
yeah,
learn so much on that short film that you'll take away for the next one and the next one and the next. It just doesn't happen overnight.
yeah,
You know, I don't want to compare ourselves to doctors, but it takes quite a long time to become a doctor. I think it
yeah,
takes quite a long time to become a filmmaker, a cinematographer. It takes great, or a director or a writer. It takes experience, and you need to learn and make those mistakes and learn from what worked and what didn't work on all of those films, short films or independent films. We're constantly learning and evolving. So I would love to see
yeah.
your work. I'd be
Definitely, definitely. Yeah. I will share you the link
wonderful.
through obviously Impact 24.
Great.
Uh, so yeah, thank you so much for coming. It's really fun session. I really enjoyed the session. Thank you so much.
Same here. I really appreciate you having a chance to chat with you. It was wonderful.
Yeah, and definitely whenever you're planning to visit India, you will let me know.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Great. Well,
goodbye.
listen. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Take
Okay,
care.
goodbye. Yeah.